dear investors. My name is Diana Zuva and I'm a business assistant for international communication at Vera Fund. Today we are going to have an interview with the owner of Quality Real Estate Company in Mexico City with Rodrigo Guizar. Good morning, Rodrigo.
Good morning, Diane. Thank you for your invitation.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Really nice to meet you.
Rodrigo, before we start talking about the real estate market in Mexico City, please tell me briefly about the story of your company, how you started it and why you chose the real estate business.
Okay, Quality is a family business. So it started like long ago with my father. He was a lawyer. Well, he graduated as a lawyer and he didn't want to work as a lawyer. So he found the real estate business really appealing. So he started to do the real estate business. After a while, he actually bought another franchise, another brand that was here in Mexico, and he left the brand, and many years later, he decided to expand his own branch, his own brand, meaning Quality, and made it as a franchise. So nowadays we have around 60 offices around Mexico, not only in Mexico City, around the whole country, and we are trying to expand even more. And actually we have 2 offices outside Mexico in Peru.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And that's a little bit of the story to summarize it.
And is it difficult to start a business in Mexico?
I mean, there is a saying I like a lot that it says, everything's hard until it's not. So maybe for a beginner, it would take a lot of time, a lot of work, but it's not that difficult. You just need to spend time and actually mean to do the work here. And also, if you buy a franchise or get close to a brand like ours that can give you all everything you need, from software, from the learning you need to do, it gets easier. I mean, we have around a year and a half that people can start actually doing the business. Also, there are people who are a bit faster, that they have their first sale in around 3 or 4 months. So it depends on the work that you put into it. But it is kind of difficult, but if you go and start with people who can help you, or can shorten the time you need to learn the business, it gets a bit easier.
And as I can see, you have license here. Is it necessary to have a license for real estate company in Mexico these days?
Not in every state, in some of them, but we are moving forward that you are gonna have to have one. I mean, here I believe only like in around 3 or 4 cities it's mandatory, it's by law, but I think we are moving that way. So not in a long time we are all gonna need a license to do the real estate business.
Okay. Rodrigo, and what is in high demand these days in Mexico City? Apartments, small apartments, maybe houses, locals more buy or they more rent?
Well, that is an extremely difficult question, because we have to understand that Mexico City is a huge city.
Yes.
So there is like different markets even inside the city. I mean, this neighborhood could be one thing and the other neighborhood could be just a lot different thing. Also, wealth, it's not like really well, I don't know, like given. So there are neighborhoods with really big houses, but there are some other more neighborhoods that are a bit cheaper. So I think to get it all together, it's a business. The Mexico City market, real estate market, would be a cheaper cost, maybe around 2 million pesos, which be like 10 like $100,000. I think that is the thing that sells the most, but it's not the only thing that sells. And as I'm telling you, there are a lot of different markets within the city. So it depends where you are looking at. Also, rents, you will always find rents because housing is something we all need. Yes or yes. So rents, they move quite quickly. Also, after the pandemic, the COVID, the market changed a lot. So the sales stopped from selling, and rent was moving like really fast because I don't know, maybe people lost their job and had to move to a cheaper apartment, or just like to get outside of the city. Mexico City is really big because people come here to work. But after the pandemic, being the cost that they are, it's really expensive here in Mexico City. So during the pandemic, a lot of people went away to another city or to a cheaper neighborhood. So the rents were moving like crazy. And that is something here in Mexico City. You can have an empty apartment and maybe have it rented in 3 or 4 weeks tops, if the price is right, of course. And the sales were a bit slow for the last years, but we believe they are coming back. Not very expensive real estate yet, but we are getting there.
Okay, and Rodrigo, what is the average price per square meter?
That is another difficult question.
In the center, let it be in the center of Mexico City.
In the center of Mexico, that is an expensive zone. So it could be around 70,000 per square meter. I mean, also I cannot like be really precise because even in the center, one street to another can change just for the view. I don't know if you went to downtown Chicago, but if you have the view of the theater that it's called Bellas Artes, the prices would go up like crazy. And maybe in the neighborhood we are right now, the prices would be around 40,000, which is almost half as downtown Mexico. And it depends. It depends in the neighborhood. There are neighborhoods cheaper. There are more expensive ones. So yeah. But I would say around downtown, the average could be around 70,000.
70,000. Okay. And is it difficult to buy property in Mexico City? How often do locals take loans?
It's not that difficult if you have the right credit score.
Credit score.
Yeah, but almost 90% of the sellings are with loans. So it's really rare that someone gets or buys a house or an apartment with their own money. And there are a bit of different rules that apply for the loan. For example, a loan will only give you around 80% of the total of the apartment. So you would have to have the other 20 and also the price it would cost for all the legal purposes. And I mean, this is also not a law, but it's a rule that it gets around, that you need an earning of 30,000 for every million they lend you. So if I need to get 1 million, I would have to show that I earn around 30,000 pesos a month. So if I need 2 million, then I would have to earn 60 or 90 for 3 million and so on. I mean, it's not a lot, but it's a rule that you can prepare yourself if you are going to ask for a loan. You know, to have the 20% of the price, and also to have earnings to justify the loan the bank is gonna give you. But yeah, it's almost every transaction that it gets with bank loans. And there is quite a fund here in Mexico. Banks do always, well, not always, but most of the times will lend money to people. Also the rates are pretty high, so that makes a good market for banks to be loaning people here in Mexico.
And what is the average income of Mexican business people? I guess not so high. Is there a lot of loans?
It's not so high, but it depends. As I was telling you about the wealth in Mexico, it's not evenly distributed. So there are really, really wealthy people in Mexico, and there are some large sum that it's not that wealthy and that have jobs that don't pay as much as other jobs. So maybe, I don't know, I'm just throwing numbers out there because it's not, you cannot give an average that could be that precise, but maybe for people with everyday job, maybe around 20 or 30,000 a month. And with wealthy businessmen could be generating like more than $1 million a month. So so it's not, the average wouldn't give you the right perspective. The right perspective is that there are less wealthy people in Mexico, and there are like a lot of people with an everyday job. So yeah, maybe around that. Not as an average, but just like how the wealth is distributed in Mexico, no?
Okay. Rodrigo, and what about taxes? Are they high here?
They are quite high. Taxes, it's around 30% of the earnings you get, but not just the income. I mean the earnings. If I buy a property that is 1 million and I sell it in 1.5 million, I would have to pay taxes on the other half, not on the 1 million, 1.5 million all around. And there are some other ways that you can lower the taxes. For a living apartment or house, for example, the Mexico's government gives you the facility to not pay any taxes at all. But there are some rules that you have to follow so you can sell your house and not pay any taxes. You can do this one time every 3 years. So it's not a business. It's that you are actually selling the place you live in. Also, you have to certify that you are living in the apartment or the house, not just a second house you have. And you can only exempt around 5 million pesos. So if your house it's more than that, you would have to pay the taxes that exceed that amount. So if you pay the whole tax, it could be high, but there are many different ways so you can lower the taxes, even to not pay at all. So that's a good thing we have here in Mexico. Also, this only applies for a living house or for a living apartment. If it's an office or a doctor's, I don't know, a consultation place, it wouldn't apply, just for the living situation.
And are the taxes the same in all states in
Yeah.
Mexico?
Yeah, because there are different taxes. There is the tax that you pay for earnings, which is the highest one. And there are some other taxes that just go with every price. Even if you go to the market, you would be paying those taxes, even if you don't know you are paying them, which is 16% of every purchase you make. So also you would have to pay different taxes, but the big one is the earnings taxes, which is called ISR.
Rodrigo, and what about commercial real estate in Mexico?
Commercial real estate is oftenly more expensive than living.
Of course.
But also, the market changed after the pandemic. Because when we were all in our houses, a lot of offices and a lot of commercials went empty. So the prices had to lower. There were even a movement that they were starting to rent offices as living apartments because of the amount of offices that went empty. So again, we're coming out of the pandemic, and the offices are starting to be used again. So I wouldn't say it's the best time to invest in commercial real estate, but it will be in time. And yeah, it's a bit more expensive than living.
Okay. And Rodrigo, what about investments? Are there investment funds? Is it popular to have investment funds here?
Yes, there are. There is a thing called fibras, which is a kind of co-founding, which you can like buy a percentage of the development more than an apartment that it is. And you would get the return you get. I mean, these kind of funds would develop, I don't know, maybe a mall or let's say a mall, and they would rent every station or every commercial place, and they would give you back the percentage that you own. But it's not that you own a certain place, that it's empty, you are not gonna get anything, or if it's full, you will get the monthly fee. So there is that kind of founding, which is the co-founding that there is, and there is also loans. I mean, you could go to the bank and ask for a loan, so you would develop or find investors. Like I was telling you, there's really wealthy people in Mexico, so you could go and find an investor and present your project, and they would give it. They would give it to you if they think it's a good project. That is actually most of the developments how they are made. Like people who their business is to find a good opportunity to build a building and ask for investment from rich people.
Okay.
Yep.
And are there a lot of foreign investors in Mexico? Where do they come from?
Yes, they are mostly from the US.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean they are our neighbors, so mostly from the US, but I wouldn't be sure how many of them. And they would probably not invest in Mexico City. Maybe they would, I don't know, but they would invest more in like commercial places, like some beaches, like Cancun. I don't know if you have heard of Cancun or Los Cabos, or maybe a resort of that type. But to be honest, I wouldn't really know the answer of how many of them or where are they investing.
Okay. And do United States of America and Canada affect on real estate market here in Mexico?
Well, yes, because whatever happens in the US happens to Mexico like double it. I mean, if the US are in a bad situation, Mexico would be in a double bad situation. So it will affect, but I don't know if it's directly the real estate business which affects the real estate business in Mexico, or just the general economy, that if the United States are in a bad situation, Mexico would be in a bad situation. Because also one big earning that Mexico has is the people from Mexico working in the US and sending back money. So that is one of the biggest earnings Mexico has, besides oil or besides tourism or some other markets. So if the United States is in a bad situation, that money would stop from coming to Mexico. So yeah, it doesn't have to be directly the real estate in the United States to affect the real estate in Mexico, but the general economy would definitely affect Mexico. Canada, not so much.
Not so much. Mm-hmm.
Not so much as Mexico, definitely.
Okay. Rodrigo, and what you can say about privacy of information? Is it open for everyone? Is it difficult to find some information about owners, about prices, or it's publicly available?
It's not. It is publicly available, but it's not that reachable. We have notaries here in Mexico who are the ones who look for the information. Also, every owner should have their papers in order. So it's kind of our business, our job, to make sure the apartment or the house you are trying to sell, it's in order. So we realtors would go to the owners and ask for the papers you need to know that the house is in order. There are some of them. It's called an escritura. The escritura is like the paper that makes you owner, but it has to be notarized. And if it is notarized, there is display that it's called registro público, which means public, the public I don't know, archive, which is as the name says, public. But it's not that reachable because of all the bureaucracy and the time it takes to find the, I don't know, maybe the paper. So we usually use notaries to do that for us. So to do any sale, any real estate sale in Mexico, you would have to do it with a notary. So it would be like different steps. First step is like for us realtors to ask the owner, like, you're gonna need this paper and this paper and this paper, and it has to have some characteristics to be in order. For example, if you are paying some services like light, like water, the address has to be the same address that the ownership paper has. Because sometimes, or in the last few years, some streets changed names or some neighborhoods changed. So if it's not the same address that you have in services, that you have in the owner paper, then there is another thing you need to do before selling. And that is just one example we have. So the first step is for us to verify the information that is correct. And then we would go to the notary, and the notary would go to this public archive and make sure everything is in order. Because there are people, not a lot of them, but there's people who try to sell their property like more than once. So in the public archive, you could have your paper, your ownership paper, and in the archive would be like, yeah, but there's another ownership after yours, so you are not the owner right now. So that is why the notaries need to this archive and make sure that the person who is selling is a person who can be selling, and not just like anyone else. Or a previous owner or something like that. So also Mexico, it's not that secure. It's a bit difficult sometimes. So people with their privacy are a bit closed. So not many people want to give you the papers, and that is not a good thing, because we need to make sure that we are selling something that you can sell, and that there won't be a problem when there is a buyer. So it sometimes gets a bit difficult to do that. And also people don't like just like giving out their information.
Okay. Rodrigo, I guess the last question is about amazing forthcoming projects. Do you know some of them?
There are a lot of projects all around the city and all around the country. I mean, if you go to a beach, there will always be a new project, like a resort or something different. There is a beach in Mexico right now that is really, really high in demand, that it's called Tulum, and they are developing like crazy. And also here in Mexico, if you just walk around, you would find like maybe 4 or 5 in the same street, like building. So there is a lot, but a really amazing project that is taking place right now is in Santa Fe. Santa Fe is one of the neighborhoods that it's more like a business center, that it's called Bora, which is a tower that faces a park that it's really beautiful. So the view is really beautiful, and they are making a huge building there. It's taking a lot more of time that they were expecting, but they are building it. So if you are gonna look into one project, I would look for Bora Tower in Santa Fe, here in Mexico City. Also around the country, I'm sure there are as impressive developments as this tower I'm telling you about, but I wouldn't really know, because Mexico City is the city I work.
Okay. Rodrigo, thank you so much for your time, for your interview. I wish you all the best.
Thank you for your time and the interest to know about more Mexico market, and also quality real estate, which is our brand.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rodrigo, please take this present from our company.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.